So I was doing some recon work at home, looking for ditches nearby that I can work on, build a spot in, and I found this thing, and it's definitely not a ditch that's skatable right now. There's no transition obviously, but a space like this is perfect for a DIY because nobody else is really going to be down here besides people that are tagging, hitting the walls, which obviously are going to be pretty cool with skateboarding for the most part. They don't really care. The hard part about this location is that there's no real easy way to get car access to it. So getting concrete, getting the cinder blocks to this location is going to be really tough. So first thing is first, now we got a good location to build something out. We got to head over and get all the supplies. I went over to the local Home Depot to pick up some cinder blocks, and you really want to watch out for broken cinder blocks. That's not going to work for us for what we're building. We want to make sure the cinder blocks are solid all the way around. So I made sure to kind of go through the different pallets that they had to find the best cinder blocks. I ended up getting 10 all together, and I just trekked them down to the spot. I'm not even going to try to explain or show you how I did that. So right now what my goal is to basically just get the cinder blocks down using some concrete nails, the liquid nails, using my caulking gun, and just get everything into place. So I just see how it reacts like I was saying earlier. And then from there, it's gonna be a matter of adding transition onto it, maybe some coping, maybe some hips. There's so many possibilities. So first things first, let's add our liquid nails to each cinder block and press them down and adhese them together. So essentially what we wanna do is add caulking onto the ground, onto the cinder blocks, onto every edge that's connecting each other, and make one solid, essentially kind of like a cinder block wall, a retaining wall, so we can build transition up onto it later. So that's pretty much it for today, for this phase, to kind of see if everything sticks and holds. I'm gonna leave it, clean up shop, make sure I take all my trash away. It only took 2 bottles of liquid nails to do everything. Again, that was 10 cinder blocks, so it's pretty nice. It's not a super high ledge, quarter pipe is what it's gonna be. It's not super high, it's small, but again, it's just to test out this zone and see if I can potentially build a lot of other spots here. Woo-wee, such a good feeling coming back the next day and the spot is still there. Our cinder blocks are here, everything's cured, the liquid nails seem to be dried, everything's stuck together. It's kind of like shaking the cinder blocks, everything's nice and solid. Now, you might be thinking, and sort of my impression when I came up was like, wow, that's really small. This quarter pipe is gonna be really small, but that's kind of the idea, is just test out this zone, test out this area. I know I keep harping on this point, but that is the idea in this video, is just to kind of see if we can install this quarter pipe, install this first skate spot, and then eventually we'll be building some more bigger, more obstacles, tons of different obstacles. Next step is basically to go back home, cut up some wood forms, bring it over here, start adding some filler, add our transitions, and start building some more spots in this location and really build it up. Today is form day, so what I did is actually grabbed a bunch of wood from my house that was adding up on the side of the house from moving recently, from different packages and stuff like that. So this really isn't the ideal wood to be using for forms, for DIY skate spots, but I'm on a budget, so I'm trying to save some money, and I'm gonna be using wood that's not ideal. Also, by the way, YouTube did this new thing where there's a super thanks, so if you want to contribute to this DIY spot, underneath this video it has a little cash icon with the thanks next to it. If you want to even support 99 cents to whatever you can, I will definitely be using all that money to continue to build this spot. But today, the goal is just to get some forms together so that eventually we can just throw in the concrete. It'll make it a lot easier. In this video, I've been taking my time with this project. Normally I try to like build spots all in one day, but this has actually been like a week-long process. I just got everything down here, got all the wood down here. It's nice and shaded, thank God, because shade in the summer in California, it is a necessity. So we know this is the point of which is the top of the ramp, and then we want to add the transition down here. So what I'm going to do is screw this 2x4 in, and then it's going to give me that shape that I want. So essentially I got to find out where exactly I want it, how steep I want it. So about there, you can tell it's kind of flat, and then as I churn up, it's going to get some transition. Now that we got one built, what I typically try to do is cut one out, and then I will trace it with the other one. So what I do is outline that onto the other wood so everything is identical. So first step is to cut this one out, and we'll use it as a template. Alright, so now we have our transition forms. Essentially, that's going to be like our cage. You sort of see the outline of where the ramp concrete quarter pipe will eventually be. The reason I did 4 instead of 2 is just because this wood is super flimsy. Ideally, you want something that's a little bit thicker that you can actually skim, because the concrete does expand, so it might be a little bit of a challenge. So what I'm going to do is actually add some of our scrap wood behind it and drill everything in. So it's going to be a little bit of a makeshift project, but the idea is just to get everything to a nice solid place, so then eventually I can start adding rock, because rocks are a good filler, or even styrofoam, things of that nature. So I'm going to find some filler, start placing it in here, and then the next step will be chicken wire or some sort of tensile strength essentially, and then mixing in the concrete. So let me add a little filler, and then we'll get into the next chapter. Super excited to eventually skate this thing. It looks more and more fun, and as you can see, I'm kind of doing a deck on it too, which I've never done before, so it'll be kind of experimental. I want to get a lot of rocks in there, a lot of filler, so that we don't have to add too much concrete. Every time I leave, I'm like so scared, because now it's in such a vulnerable place and I put enough work into it where I really don't want someone coming through and messing it up. Got all our filler in there. We're almost ready for concrete. I'm gonna go grab some more supplies, come back. So far, so good. Nobody's been bummed. I feel like there's faith. This might become the spot to build at. I'm super excited. I'm just hoping for the most, hoping for the best.
Super heavy.
Today is pour day. We're gonna be pouring the concrete, 90-pound bags, a little bit heavier, harder to move. You do save some money, so pick your pros and cons with that. You can save money by getting the 90-pound, or you can save your back by getting the 60-pound. It really depends. I got Big Al here. He's gonna be helping me. I also got some rebar. They didn't have any chicken wire or mesh. A lot of you guys recommended using that when building DIY spots. Unfortunately, the hardware store didn't have any. So we're just gonna be using rocks and rebar. I'm super stoked to pour today. We're gonna get mixing some concrete really quickly and a tarp. We're not gonna use anything else. We're just gonna be using the tarp. This is a lot easier when you have 2 people. So we're gonna get all the concrete down here, get all the water out, and make this spot super hype.
Oh, you want 10? Okay.
Roommate help. Oh, come on, really? Don't waste your energy on that. You're gonna mix concrete. Yeah, no, don't be fooling around when you're about to mix some concrete. You gotta save all that energy for the build.
I know, I was doing that for all the babes, you know?
Yeah. He's still young, you know? He's got that. So we're gonna be building the deck portion of this spot in a very primitive way. I'm basically gonna try to box it in. I didn't bring any screws, like nothing right now. I don't have a drill. So I just have this extra plywood laying around. So I'm basically gonna border up the plywood with the rocks, and then we're gonna try to pour all the concrete in there just to box it all in. If we wait 30 minutes, it should be good enough to where we can remove the boxing, basically the plywood, and then we can start adding the transition. I'm hoping this is gonna work. This is a very freestyle way of doing this. Mixing the concrete's always important. So basically from here, we're gonna get our gloves on so that we don't get our hands all messed up. And then we're gonna make a little volcano. So we're gonna make a hole in the middle. Yeah, almost like to the bottom of the part. And then that's where we're gonna pour the water in. Alright, so we kind of got this top deck done. That was 3 bags, so I think we're gonna need more concrete to actually get all the transition done. However, the deck is already actually looking pretty good. For a primitive job, it's good. So we're just mixing, adding, and kind of just distributing the concrete using this. Nothing like a trowel, nothing like that, because you don't want to smooth your concrete out. A lot of people ask, how do I get my concrete smoother? I just can't get it smooth. It's really about not trying to trowel it away right away. You just want to get into the spot. We're going to trowel it later. All right, so as you can see the concrete right now, it's pretty much just dried mix. It's not like super smooth. Still got all those rocks in there. I'm just using this 2x4 raw wood, basically distribute all of it. So we got all this concrete right here we just dropped in. So really it's just like, you want to move it around, get it to where you want it to be. You're not worried about like smoothing it out, really. Smoothing it out is like that final step. And if some drops or whatever, that's all good too. Okay? It doesn't need to be perfect right away. You just kind of want to try to distribute all of it around. And ideally in this situation, we're almost like building a cinder wall ledge. Like as you can see, it's kind of buttered up on the side right there. Now that you got that wet layer, I'm kind of just going to try to skim it over everything. Idea being we're going to fill any of those like missing spots that need to be filled with this little area right here. And again, we're not really trying to smooth it out. It's just about getting it onto place. Yeah. And we definitely did not get enough concrete. We haven't done, I haven't done a deck like this ever. So it's definitely a new project for me now. Yeah, from here, I mean, obviously you normally want your forms like buttered up, and this isn't perfect, but this is skate DIY. Like, you know, might be people commenting saying that I could have done it way better, and that's fine. I probably could have, but it's about like adapting to your circumstance, using what you got, depending on your budget, your time, all of that. So now we got all of our concrete into place. Start chowing it. Pretty much from here, we start using our magnesium float, this float right here, which is gonna start really getting all buttered up. Get that smoother top finish like that. So you wanna wait too, you wanna get everything in place. Just slowly work it. You know? It's not gonna happen right away, but that's essentially the idea right there. All right, pulled off of the temporary form. Got the concrete all on top. It looks really good. It took a lot more concrete than we thought. So we're gonna add the transition next, but next thing to do, the last final step, is hit it with that pull trowel, the finish trowel, the aluminum trowel. Get that nice buttery top, and then we're gonna clean up, come back and hit it with the transition. Today is solo build day. I got 5 more bags of Quikrete. I got the 60-pound bags because they're a lot easier when you're doing solo builds. I got some filler on here, it's nice and good. I'm gonna get a little more filler in here just so I can use less concrete. The hard part about this part of the process is that I'm gonna be mixing solo, so I can't mix in the tarp. That was really helpful, mixing in the tarp with Al. So I'm just gonna mix on the ground, kind of do a volcano, just mix on the ground, maybe hit it against the wall, out of the area that we're gonna be skating, and then just basically start troweling all of our wet concrete on there and get that nice smooth transition. Just kidding, it looks like someone took my shovel, and it wasn't a very expensive shovel. It wasn't a really good shovel. I had to put it through tons of skate spots. I had a lot of concrete stuck on it, but it's gone. Can't mix my concrete without a shovel. I was trying to think of other ways, but I don't wanna waste my concrete by trying to mix in some rogue way. So instead, to make better use of my time, I'm just gonna add a little more filler, clean up the spot, and come back tomorrow and then add the concrete. It's a little bit kind of a bittersweet situation now that someone took my shovel and they took 1 extra bag of concrete. I had 2 bags of concrete sitting here. That's all right, you know what? I'm not mad about it. It's also my neglection, like I left it here. I was opening that door for someone to take it. It's all good. I'm gonna clean up, come back, and we're gonna start pouring right now. So the prediction of running out of concrete did come true, although I got it to a good place where we have this first layer on there with our Quikrete. I didn't get it to a super fine finish where it's skatable. As you can see, it's still kind of rough, and I wanted that because next I'm actually going to be adding a layer of mortar over the top because I ran out of concrete, and mortar is really fine finish. So we have all that solid concrete on there. We just want that like skatable surface on the top. You can use Cemental as well. There's all sorts of different material. I like using mortar because it's fairly cheap. It's one of the cheaper materials, and we could spread it all out. The one thing about mortar though is you can't really mix it on the ground like I was with the concrete. There's no rocks, it's really fine. So I got our mixing bucket back here for mixing it in. I'm gonna get mixing some mortar and just start slapping it on there and start getting a nice smooth finish. And the goal here now, we're gonna use these forms. I have these forms to kind of see how much more concrete we need, and it's almost just like 1 inch. I also have some construction concrete adhesive. This stuff, it's really good for bonding like your old and new concrete. And because our Quikrete is still like not fully cured, it's gonna be able to grab onto the mortar a lot better because it's not like fully hardened. I kind of wanted that rough edge so that it marries in together, because if you make a really fine hard edge with concrete and try to add concrete on top, it's gonna be really hard and it can separate really quickly. All right, now from here, we got all the mortar on there. It's looking good, pretty stoked. It's still in the shade. Luckily, that's what's really nice with this spot right now. This wall is creating a shade, so it'll prevent it from cracking as fast. I mean, it might crack, it happens when it's really hot. But yeah, as you add water, it also weakens the concrete. I only did that to really like rework it in certain areas. Sometimes like you gotta add some water to smooth it out, get some rocks in there or something like that. You can do it, but it does weaken it. So kind of got to do a little bit of a give and take with that. But yeah, now that everything is all troweled up, it's not perfect transition. However, I am really excited to skate it. I'm gonna clean up shop and then we're gonna get a skate session. All right, it's been about 3 days since we poured the concrete. I'm back to check it out, get a little session. I do want to add some clear enamel here on the top of this lip. I'm actually just realizing now too, it's a little more banked than I would have liked it. I like there to be more transition. And the reason that it's so banked is because I just like added the concrete on there and just started troweling it. It was really hot out. I didn't really have a way to skirt it with another person. Normally you want 2 people on each side and kind of skirting along the form. Or if it's not as wide, you can do it solo. But I think that's the reason that it kind of got more banked than I wanted to. There's more transitions in certain areas, but I can fix that. I'll probably put that in the next episode of how to actually fix this transition. That could be a good tip for you all. But I hope you enjoyed this process, enjoyed this video. Getting this DIY skate spot going has been really fun for me. Super stoked to have like a spot near me to start building on. I'm gonna be building a lot more other obstacles. Let me know down below what kind of obstacles do you think would be cool in this location, and hopefully enjoy this process. Donate if you can. Totally understand if you can't donate. You can support this project by just liking this video, watching the video, commenting, subscribing. All those are free ways to support this project. Yeah, I'm gonna get a little skate session on this before I add the lacquer and really fix it up, because this is gonna get a little more love. However, I do want to end this video with a quick little session so I can show you it is still skatable as it is right now. It works. Super stoked. That actually felt really good. It worked pretty good. You probably could hear in that clip I actually scraped on the way up and down, so it's kind of nice. I actually don't mind that. It's like a Jersey barrier, so it's kind of gnarly. I'm gonna try a couple more tricks, not too much because I don't really want to mess with the concrete. I do want to add that nice sealant on there so it hardens that lip really good and strengthens it. I'll get a couple tricks and then wrap it up, come back, lacquer it up, and really get this spot going. Super excited.